Hello, my name is Pal Jasmine, and this is going to be a video blog, and I'm going to talk about wrestling and transgender people, and specifically professional wrestling, not the other wrestling that exists as legit sports. So the reason for this video is because last week a friend of mine, got told by a professional wrestler wannabe that she couldn't be in the sport because she was a trans woman, she shouldn't be a wrestling woman, and which is ridiculous because pretty much um, was telling my friend that she's not a woman, and that's something that is like very mean to say to a transgender person. So I'm going to try to divide this video blog into different topics. I'm going to talk about each topic and then try to tie them up at the end of the video. Hopefully this will be informative, and I hope that people don't get bored because it's it might be a little bit longer than the attention span that most people have. A little bit about me: I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I began training in professional wrestling in 1999 in Puerto Rico. My trainer, he had worked for World Wrestling Council, and and um, he was running his own promotion, and I decided to train with him for a little bit. I moved in 2000 to 2001. I was living in South Jersey, the Philadelphia area, and I got to train there at a famous school. There I learned mostly the ring psychology approach that, and also I learned chain wrestling, and that was something useful for me because in the style in Puerto Rico was a bit more of brawling. Then 2002 I moved back to Puerto Rico. I was living down there, and I began working more the independent circuit down there with a friend of mine, and then I went to 2004. I finally moved back to New York, where I'm living now, and I have worked. I work with a few wrestling organizations around here and in Vermont, um, and I continue working there a little bit after I transitioned genders in 2007, and in 2008 I decided to back down a little bit from wrestling because I ended up losing my car, so I didn't have a car to be able to travel to do wrestling shows. And in 2014, somebody got me back into business when they decided to start a group of transgender workers in wrestling, and I found that idea very um, useful, and because of the impact that that can have, especially because they're like at first I thought that I was the only transgender person out there that was in wrestling, but then little by little I've been finding out that there are more people like me doing involved in wrestling, and I feel like it's good to have that connection with other people like me that are in the business, and each of us is very different. I'm probably different than uh, other people in transgender people in the business. Um, my wrestling gimmick is like more of like I'm a freaking circus clown. Um, I mean I like the circus and I can juggle, so that's why I do that gimmick. Um, so yeah, I'm not well known, but I've been working the independent wrestling circuit in upstate New York since 2017, and I've been working for companies like Dynasty. I have worked for Immortal Championship Wrestling, New York Championship Wrestling, and Battlefront Pro Wrestling Massachusetts, and I have worked as a referee. I have done camera, ring crew, and all that kind of other jobs in wrestling. And to quote what somebody said in 2017, um, and the person that said this quote was Cody Rhodes, who at the time was the champion of Ring of Honor. Wrestling is for everyone, and and that came out because somebody asked him if a trans person asked him if they could be a wrestler someday, and Cody Rhodes said yes, 100% yes. Wrestling is for everybody, and I do agree with that. And it shows today because Cody Rhodes now from AEW, and he had given the opportunity to hire people like Sonny Kiss and even Nyla Rose, who's one of the first transgender people to be signed to a major uh, wrestling promotion. Um, and So yeah, so that's a little bit of the history of my background in wrestling in the business. I'm, like I said, I'm not well known in the business. I think the biggest thing that I have done was my wrestling career was that I was able to go in 2017 to the Women of Honor tryout. Back in 2017, Ring of Honor decided to do a tryout for Women of Honor, and I got the chance to go there. And to be honest, I didn't tell her I was going to get hired. To get called for that tryout. I mean, not hired. Sorry, uh, misspelled the words. Um, I got invited to a tryout, and I didn't tell that I was going to get invited. Also because I didn't. I thought like maybe they would not invite a transgender person to go to a tryout, but I was wrong, and I was not the only transgender person there, which is kind of funny because I found out about that after the tryout. But I was able to go to the Women of Honor tryout in 2017, and the sad part was like I got sick, so I was wrestling the matches that they put us to do in the tryout. I wrestled them being sick with a cold, and it was the most difficult thing that I have done in my entire life. But it was a good experience to get critique in a group of people that have been doing this for a while, and again, I got surprised that I got invited to go, but because I didn't thought I was going to go. My reason for applying was because I saw somebody making a joke that, oh, I didn't get a wig, and tried. It was a guy, it was a man, and he would somebody told him why he didn't got a wig and apply to that, and I got like, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't be making those comments like that, and I decided to apply to the trial because of that, because I wanted to see if I could if there could be a chance to get in there, you know. Um, I didn't get call back after that, but you never know how the business is, and I don't feel like down there I didn't feel like as prepared as I am now because I still have some of the reinforced from being out of wrestling until 2015. But if the trial was like now or a little bit late or today, I think things might be a little bit different because I've gotten to a point where I'm no longer bounded by the ring process, and I have changed a few things that I was doing before. Um, but anyway, moving on to the topic, which is about transgender people in wrestling. So let's talk a little bit about transgender people. There's the one thing that I hate the most is when people say that are dismissive of transgender people gender identities. When people say that trans women are men or that trans men are women, you know, they are missing a big point. You know, in my view, even in psychology, um, in gender psychology, in social psychology actually, um, gender is kind of like a social construct, and the way that I see gender too, growing up, um, because of the when me identify as the opposite gender and seeing that, feeling that I was being pushed to behave in a certain way because they wanted me to behave in a certain way just because of me being born with uh, a particular type of sexual organs. It was very frustrating for me. So like I saw gender like a spectrum. You know, one side you have masculinity, and the other side you have femininity, and then there's a line connecting those dots. You know, um, and so for a transgender person, you are born in a different sex, but you identify more as the opposite gender, and to a point that you want to match your identity to that other um, sex. And for some transgender people, that means going through hormone replacement therapy, going through surgery, which some transgender people go or not go through those steps because surgery is expensive, and some states may not have insurance that cover that for transgender personnel. So, looking from a financial perspective, not many people are able to afford like missing work for like a month or so while they recover from surgery. Um, so it's and then again, it's also transgender person decision to go through those procedures or not. Like, um, so yeah, so there's already that in there. And the other thing about transgender people is that we are very diverse too, um, and we can. Geez, I lost my chain of thought. We're very diverse. Are like some people choose to transition full, some people choose to stay kind of like in the middle. It all depends on like the person, and there's no one way of going through this. Like some, it all depends on like the person and their own gender identity and and how they want to express their gender. Um, but at the same time, like we are our chosen gender. Like when people tell us that we're not that gender, it's kind of like insulting and showing lack of misunderstanding because it some of the arguments that I've read they're just based on like what kind of sexual organs we have, and that is just like demeaning because it reduces to like no, it removes something that it's not attached to our gender, which is our own identity and personality. Like um, and even a person that isn't transgender, their own identity, who they are as a person, is not necessarily related to which particular organs they have. Like, take for example, like in professional wrestling, you can like professional wrestling and be a man or a woman, and that's something that is not related to which organs you have. And it's sad because also I have had people in my life tell me like, "Oh, how can you be a woman but still do wrestling? Like, I don't feel like you should have transition because you like to do wrestling." That I've been told that by some people, and to me, in my opinion, that is just ridiculous because they are not understanding um, what gender identity is, and the variables that exist in there. There's people that like wrestling, there's people that don't like wrestling, there's people that like chocolate, and there's people that don't like chocolate. Um, that's part of who you are, and it's not related to which type of sex organs you have. So when a transgender person says they're a woman, and there's no there's no basis for people to deny that they are not that particular gender. And even from my own experience, I'm a woman. Um, yes, I don't, and I have my own experience being a woman. It may not be the same as a person who was born female and is a woman, but I got um, my own story of being a woman and dealing with the things that I have faced as a woman, as a transgender woman. To be more specific, but still a woman, because some of the ages kind of overlap. Like I've seen women that go to the gym and they lift weights, and there's been people that have lasted those women for being strong and having muscle, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous. And even as a trans woman, I've been told like, oh, but you have muscles, like you are too bulky, and it's ridiculous. And I can understand, and when people say those things, because they are just assuming things about gender that may not be true. And that's what happens when people tend to lump um, tend to have those divisions where they lump people based on their sex. So what is okay, what is not okay for that particular gender, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous. Because there are things that are just like they shouldn't be gender specific. Um, Now, it also depends on the culture too. Like for me, it's easy to say this because like, I live in a culture where was the divisions of gender were very clearly seen from a very early age. Like my mom, when I was younger, she didn't let me step in the kitchen because she thought that was for boys, and um, and that was not for boys, that was for women. And women were the ones that needed to be in the kitchen. My grandmother used to tell me that, oh, but you're doing laundry, and if people see you, they're going to think that you are, and like, um, but doing laundry is something that you need to do on your own, whether you are a man or a woman. That's a survival skill, So to me, it was really cool that my culture was like even dividing those things because it didn't make sense to me. Um, Now I have talked about gender and about the procedures too. Like there's also a misconception that people have that transgender people um, are not the gender that they are based on chromosomes that they have. And they usually use basic biology in the argument, like, oh, this basic biology is XX, XY. But the thing is, like, there to understand transgender people, you have to understand advanced biology. And there was this book that I found in Puerto Rico called Los Machos, Hembras y los Intersexos, Male, Female, and the Intersex, written by a professor of biology in Puerto Rico, where he explained that um, even though people had, uh, the majority of sex chromosomes was XX and XY, there were still other things that could happen there. For example, there was variation. You could have like uh, been somebody born with XXX or XYY, and there were those variations were existent. And not only that, even in the variations of XX and XY, there were other factors, and specifically hormones that could affect the development of the of that person in the womb, and that will cause sexual organs to be not what it would be expected based on the chromosome that that person will have. So that is the idea of an intersex person. And so to say that gender is only X, 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 Y, and whether you have this or that is very limiting because the full development of a person, there are a bunch of things that could be affecting that development. And and until I forgot what I was going to say again. Um, but yeah, there are things that are going to affect the development, and that will probably could be the cause for a transgender person being who they are. Um, there's an article out there that I found out that explains that more deep, but I feel like when people want to lump us based on those two things, they are missing a bunch of other stuff that should also be considered when talking about the sex of the person. So yeah, those are the things that are there, and that's why I think that the perspective that some people said trans women are not women, that is still like completely wrong. In addition, when you go when trans people go through hormone replacement therapy, hormones have a effect, and every transgender person can attest that they do affect your body permanently. Like my body is not the same as it was before, and it has changed completely. Um, yeah, certain things may or may not be there, but like my body has changed. It's like going through a second puberty. The hormones reversal process, like because um, because when it comes to hormones, like both male and females, they have estrogen and testosterone, but they vary depending on like who you are. Like for males, usually testosterone is higher than estrogen, and for females, they have more estrogen than testosterone. And when you play with those levels, and when it comes to trans women, where you pretty much like the hormone replacement therapy, what it does is reduces the testosterone and increases the estrogen level. Like the changes that will happen, they will happen because of the hormones. So we're going pretty much through a second puberty, and those changes are real, and they pretty much like make your skin softer. They give you a secondary sex characteristic like breast development happens in transgender women, and and even loss of muscle mass too, which means like for somebody like me, and I like to lift weights because I like to keep myself in physical condition. Um, I have to work harder than before in order for me to keep my muscle mass. So so yeah, like people are missing a big point when they try to bring basic biology into the question to justify their transphobia or their non-acceptance of that transgender person chosen gender. Um, at the same time, um, the thing is, at least for professional wrestling, and let me talk about other sports, because in other sports, when a transgender person wants to play a particular sports, whether that be in college or professionally, some organizations have set up guides for to allow transgender people to compete, and a lot of people focus on like they ignore the hormone replacement therapy effects, which is a part, one big important part of the process. You know, the hormone replacement of what a trans person goes through. Um, but they ignore the skills necessary to play that particular sport. You know, in basketball. Um, um, I used to like playing basketball when I was younger with my friends in Puerto Rico. Um, but basketball is a sport, and it has some skills. You know, you need to know how to dribble a ball. You practice a lot perfecting the way that you throw the ball to be able to get in the basket. There are certain skills that you need to have when you play a particular sport, and you have them or you don't. You could be um, baseball, same thing. Soccer, same thing. Wrestling, even in wrestling, amateur wrestling, you still have um, some some skills that you need to know when you participate in that particular type of sport. Also, in sports like wrestling and even mixed martial arts, you have weight classes too. It's not like a 200-pound person will compete against a 150-pound person. That wouldn't be allowed, because it wouldn't, according to the rules of that sport, it wouldn't be fair. So they have weight classes where they divide people by weight classes, and that even allows like women, like wrestling is interesting, specifically amateur wrestling and high school wrestling, because girls that want to compete, they may have to compete against boys, because sometimes there's not enough girls to be able to build a girls division in wrestling. And it all depends on which state are we looking at. Because, like, for example, like Texas had divided the girls and boys into different divisions, into different sections. And I don't know how many of you remember, but like 2 years in the past years, Mike Beggs, who was a transgender wrestler, he competed. He had to compete again in the women's division, because the rules that they have in the league that he was participating, they didn't allow him to compete with the boys, because they were going by the um, sexual organ that, or the sex that was listed on the birth certificate, so which is totally completely ridiculous, and that's why he won. You know, um, um, and he wanted to compete against boys, but they didn't allow him. So it's things like that can have happened in sports, and so yeah, so there are guidelines that sports um, organizations have issued to allow transgender people to compete. Usually it involves that they have to prove that they've been in the hormone levels they match their chosen gender, and that they have been on hormone replacement therapy for a period of about a year or more. Um, so that way the effect of the hormones have already happened on their bodies pretty much. Um, so those are things that exist in sports. In professional wrestling, it's totally completely different, because, like I said, professional wrestling is a form of entertainment. It's not a real sport. And every person that have trained in pro wrestling, men and women, we train together. When we're training, we train with women, train with men train with women. You know, um, and, uh, and it didn't matter who you were training with. You know, you could be. It doesn't matter the school that you go through. You will still be training with men and women in the ring at the same time. Um, and uh, and because of that, I saying that trans women don't belong in wrestling is really, for lack of a better word, stupid. Because the business of professional wrestling, um, it's not a, it's being transgender doesn't control anything. You know, what matters is the story that you tell in the ring. You know, um, and true, our bodies may be different. You know, like I'm very different uh, from cis women that are in wrestling. And by cis woman is a female that it's a woman. Was born female, it's still a woman, cis person. A trans person, somebody that was born in a different sex, and it's now they're just searching chosen gender. So a trans man is a person that was born female and is transitioned to male, and a trans woman is a person that was born male and transitioned to female. Um, and yes, that's not getting the argument that about genitals because only that doesn't matter. Um, that shouldn't that shouldn't be looked at, you know. Um, but yeah, for a transgender person to be in wrestling, it shouldn't matter like what kind of sex organs we don't have, because that's not what drives um, the way that we perform. You know, what drives the way that we perform is the story that we tell in the ring. And when I wrestle, I bring something completely different than some of the women um, that are in the business. You know, although I have to admit it, I am I'm 5'7", I am 215 pounds, but I've met other women that are taller than me and that are as strong as I am, and they can also lift me up and body slam me. And like to me, it's interesting. I'm happy that when I get the chance to work with those women, because I know that the match is going to be more interesting. Um, and it will make me work harder, because usually I get lazy when I work uh, women that are um, I apologize. Um, I get lazy when I work women that are smaller than me in the ring sometimes. But yeah, um, the way the mechanic of the match is going to be different, you know, and and that's the beauty about the business, you know, that we can have like people that are like big and tall facing somebody that is small, and the story changes in the ring. You know, then you have the underdog story, or as I like to call it sometimes, David versus Goliath storyline, which is you have a smaller opponent versus a bigger opponent. So you know the audience is going to go like, oh my god, that little person is like it's completely screwed up. Now you have a big person in there. You know, um, the and now the audience is usually for most part they usually cheer for the for the underdog, for the little person, because you know they can identify they understand like, oh my god, that person is in trouble, you know. And that is what wrestling is about. You know, you have wrestling is good versus evil, you know. Usually I play the heel, but I can also work as a face too if I need to. And as a villain, you are there, and that's my opinion. It could be wrong, and somebody could have a different opinion. But you are there to make the baby face look good. And as somebody explained, you know, it's about the baby face. You know, baby face is what makes people be there. You want, and as a heel, you are there to make sure that the audience sympathize with the baby face, and that they don't, as a heel, that they don't like you. You know, you're the villain there. You're the antagonist. You are the person that is there to antagonize that baby face. And that's why we have a queen psychology, which if you watch any movie, you know, like and one of my favorite movies are genre is martial arts. And one of my favorite martial arts um, actor is Jackie Chan. And Jackie Chan is perfect baby face, in my opinion, because he's always taking a freaking beating, and you're kind of like, oh my god, fight back, do something. And it's like they're taking the beating, and all of a sudden he comes up with a crazy idea, and he ended up beating the bad guy. And that's the way that I feel like wrestling is. Like, you know, the baby face is like, at one point, the, 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 the heel or the person, the villain, is taking control of the match. And and they're antagonizing the babyface, you know, and the audience sometimes like you want to push it on to feel to a point like, oh my gosh, fight back, fight back, and then all of a sudden, boom, the babyface found a way to fight back the evil person, and then they ended up either winning, or the heel is going to win, the heel cheats, or something happens that helps them win. So yeah, wrestling is about storytelling in the ring. It's theater, stage combat. So being trans shouldn't be a concern for being transgender and being in the wrestling business shouldn't be an issue for us, because it really doesn't affect that. The moves that we do, they are designed to be safe for both of the people involved. Um, and and so being our background, whether we were born male or female, doesn't apply. Um, doesn't play a big impact in that. And to me it's ridiculous, because I've seen, like, when and this and I apologize for talking about this, but like when they hired Nyla in AEW, like some of the comments that people were commenting when they announced her match for one of the events. Oh my gosh, there was so much ignorance there. People were fixated on on her past, and couldn't get past that, and it's so totally completely ridiculous, because they are missing, they are not understanding um, how the business works, and they don't understand how what a transgender person is. And I already explained what a transgender person is, and now I'm giving feedback of how the business works. And in all honesty, like it's like it's it's unfair, and it's disgusting that people are making those comments, that they are producing a person to, oh my gosh, this person doesn't have these organs, and instead of looking at the storyline, you had Brie Baker, and you have Kylie Ray. I am so sorry. Kylie Ray in it, and like they're just like um, teeny tiny compared to Nyla, and Nyla is freaking big, and it's like, like now that's a storytelling in there, because now you have somebody that is like strong, and like very different from some of the women that do wrestling, and now you feel like concerned for both, like Britt Baker and Keely Ray, because you know that they're in trouble. And then the funny part about that match was that um, when um, Brandy Rhodes come out of a sudden out to the, and I didn't get to see, well, yeah, no, I got to see the match, and like I said, the best part was, like, it got more interesting when Brandy Rhodes came to the ring and said, like, I don't want this match to be excellent. I want this to be awesome. Alpha Sun comes Awesome Kong. And Awesome Kong is also a woman that is like just big and she's tall. So now you have two powerhouses there. And even Nala was like, the Nala expression in that match was really fantastic, because she was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm in trouble too now. And so that changed this, like the match that people were expecting to see. Out of a sudden, now there was something totally completely different, and that's the beauty about that I see with AEW, because they are getting out of into something different with a storyline. Like, sometimes I don't get booked because promoters, they want to see women that are, like, one time a friend of mine, um, I also have a friend of mine, hey, can you tag with this promoter? I'm interested in that. And he mentioned me, like, oh yeah, I talked to him, but he said he wanted somebody smaller. And like when I went to and here is something that many people know. In 2017, I got the chance to go to um, the Women of Honor tryout. Ring of Honor was doing a tryout for the women's division, and I got the chance to go there and participate in that tryout. And I when I came after the tryout, I found out that I was not the only trans woman that was participating in the tryout, and there was somebody else that was trans too. But I got a chance to go there, and I didn't thought that I was going to get selected to go there, but it did happen, and I was happy about that. Got an opportunity to participate in that, and was very rewarding to get feedback from people that have been in the business professionally are at a higher level than I've been doing this. Um, so to me, it was fantastic, and it was fun um, um, because I got to work with women that were in business, also to find out that there was such a diverse group of women that were there, and that was something interesting. And but yeah, and I kind of lost track of like what I was going to say. Um, so yeah, so no matter what wrestling organization I've gotten to the way that AEW has gone through, and that's been one of the things about the business. Like having transgender women in wrestling have changed the way that they're that, that the business is, and to me it's amazing and it's empowering. And I'm the kind of person like even like Maria Manic. Um, she got selected now. She got hired by Ring of Honor now, and I watch her, choke slam in some of the boys. My gosh, that is highly empowering, and that's something that that is good to see because like it's refreshing. It's something new, Um, and I saw her one time at the a Dynasty at a Dynasty show here in New York, and she's really like she she's tall like I am, and she's been working on the gym, so she's strong too. So I can't relate to her, like I can't relate to women that are like strong and powerful because there are not many women like that sometimes that in the business. Like China was one of those that in WWE back in the mid '90s that um, there were not many women like her before, and then she got the opportunity to be there, and oh my gosh, like but there were also some people that said some mean comments about her, and that was the sad part about it, Um, but to me it was refreshing to see her because like okay, this is something new, and I think I like that, like now I can buy the fact that she's a wrestler, um, and so I've been like being strong, being tall, it just happens to create a different dynamic in the ring. I like to see that kind of storytelling. To me it's quite fantastic. The David versus Goliath story, or the underdog versus somebody that is like more powerful. That's always a good storytelling, in my opinion, because it changes the things and it allows for more different storytelling than just the usual. It's like when Rey Mysterio faced um, Kevin Nash back in WCW. Rey Mysterio's like teeny tiny, and then you have like Kevin Nash who's like way bigger than him. And that match was kind of interesting to see. It was like, oh my gosh, poor Rey Mysterio, he's going to get killed pretty much. And but seeing the way that it worked with storyline, that was really fantastic. Again, because wrestling is about storytelling. So to say that trans women don't belong in wrestling is totally completely unfair to trans women. And to promoters out there, educate yourself. If and promoters and people that own wrestling school, because honestly, like the way that the business is, we have to go to our wrestling school and we have to train to become a wrestler. So if you are a person that owns a wrestling school and you want to be inclusive, um, please comment here. Maybe we could put a list together of wrestling schools that are inclusive to LGBT people, including transgender people. In case somebody else that is trans want to go to your school, you are already prepared to um, to accept those students and help them to. Promoters get out of the idea that women wrestling has to be a certain way. Get out of that old mentality. Women wrestling can be can be anything. Uh, Women like Yassi Garber, like there's been a lot of women today that are in great physical condition. They are, they are not afraid of showing the 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 fact that they work out in the gym and that they are proud of their muscles. You know, get out of that mentality that women have to be like delicate and pretty. Get out of that mentality. Allow transgender women to be part of your organization because it will change. It will change things. It will provide something different for the fans. Um, and I'm glad that the wrestling organizations that I've been working have given me the opportunity to work with them, and I hope to continue to do so for as long as I can. But I hope that other wrestling organizations out there continue giving opportunities to transgender wrestlers and to transgender people in the business. I apologize for the length of this video, but I don't think I could have made it a little bit shorter than this. I hope that it wasn't boring. It probably was because my voice is kind of like monotone at this point, but I hope that everybody was able to learn something at least, and I hope that you all can relate. I'm open to asset bookings. I got released from physical therapy. I was having some problems with my lower back. One of my discs degenerated. Um, Lucky for me, I don't need any surgery. But I can still wrestle, but um, I'm still open to go on tag to travel to wrestle and or refereeing or even help your organization if you want to introduce or learn more about transgender people or educate yourself. I'm willing to do that. Um, I think it's time for major organizations to be more inclusive too. Like I know AEW just signed Nyla Rose, but like other organizations haven't gotten to a point yet where there are transgender characters. The media have become more diverse, and in TV, you got the CW Supergirl show. They have a transgender character, so I don't see why wrestling organizations can't get to that point too. Um, so hopefully there will be opportunity for people that are coming. It's just a matter of time and see if those opportunities happen for those people for them to be able to get into the big companies. I'm not the only one. Um, like I said, there's other people like me in Massachusetts. I have a friend of mine. He's a transgender man, and we both have worked each other in the ring. And it's actually interesting because I'm a big powerhouse and he's a little bit shorter than me. So um, the it's quite interesting. It's been quite an interesting experience. Um, if you have questions or comments, please comment below. I hope that this answered your questions, and I hope that this video was educating, but also it helped you get a better perspective of what the business of professional wrestling is, and also why transgender women can be in it. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.